Welcome to the show. Well, if you thought the debate over minor league baseball stadium was over, guess what? It isn't. You lose. Henry, what started this round of discussions, my friend?
I think it originally started with a little innocuous thing that we should build an indoor sports complex to serve our youth in our community, because surrounding areas have those and they do so well.
They do, and I got to tell you, from my perspective, I think that's a good investment of funds.
From my experience, having coached teams in the community, we take them down the road. Do we have enough per capita to justify the facility? I don't know. But I like the idea. I mean, there's one in Winchester, Gettysburg, Frederick, actually a couple in Frederick, and then, of course...
what about Greencastle, Martinsburg?
Martinsburg, no. Greencastle, I'm not aware of any.
Yeah. My point is maybe we could draw people even in...
I think that would be a good thing, but then what I think we had happen was it was a piggyback. Oh, we're talking about building something for sports. There was this thing about baseball stadium that we've discussed once or twice in this community. Maybe we could piggyback. Yeah. And I think that's where we're at right now.
That's kind of what we're talking about now, stadium.
Yeah, the stadium, there's no good side to be on the stadium, okay? I think if you talk to...
How about inside?
Well, why don't we build a complete indoor complex that is a stadium/convention center?
Oh my gosh, Tom, what do you think of that idea?
If we're going to do a boondoggle, let's do it.
Go big or go home, baby.
What do
Go
you
home.
think?
Yeah, well, I thought the issue, part of it was because, isn't it, Kristen Alishire would like to use some of that property that stadium's on for this other, possibly.
But it's really
part of
not
the
big
reason.
enough. The combination, it really would be...
It would not be big enough.
Big
Yeah,
enough.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
that was, part
Guys,
of
didn't the
this.
fire just
Yeah.
offer up the extra land that it could be made big enough? You've got all that hospital parking right up the street. Come on now.
Now, are you
Enough.
saying there's some sources that are working in the background to free up the land?
I just said there was a fire. I don't know anything
So
about
I
it.
think,
I
I guess I was... The report from at least one of the city council members is that, and his report is, nobody knew that Dan Spedden, who leads our economic development, or not economic development, he leads our Convention and Visitors Bureau, who, by the way, I think does a good job, brought this up and nobody knew it was on the radar. So whether that's true or not, I don't know, or how many. And when I say true, I'm sure that Kristen didn't know it was coming, because that's what he said. I'm sure he didn't tell a story about that, but I don't know who else knew about it. I think Bob knew about it, right?
Yes.
But I think that we really need to definitively answer this question, yes or no, because the Suns are reportedly looking at being sold, right?
Well, that's
Correct.
been talked about now for about 3 or 4 months now. Is it or isn't it?
Well,
It's longer than 3 or 4 months.
yeah.
And
No, I mean
they-
this recent sale.
they've been shopping the Suns to other venues. Of course,
Yes.
the
Right.
last one was Fredericksburg. So they've been shopping the Suns around to find a
Well,
new
but
home.
have they've been shopping around for a new home, but not necessarily for a new owner, right?
Could
at
be a
least-
combination.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know that there was anything official about a new owner being sought until.
Dan Spedden reported on a couple of different occasions, the CVB director, that there was new owners looking at buying the Hagerstown Suns. That's been discussed
And
several
I've heard
times
from
in the last
sources
2-3 months.
within the organization
Yes.
at one point that the team was, for the right suitor, available.
Yeah.
Yes, but then I think even some of the recent ones have not agreed not to now.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something even last
But,
month.
My point is this: we need to either do this or not do this. It's time to end the debate on this. And we have. And one thing that I will. And by the way, I am a fan of building a baseball stadium. I think that Frederick, as well as other communities, we had I have a contact down in North Carolina that has a baseball team, and they just built a new stadium. And they're a similarly sized community. And guess what? It has exceeded their expectations beyond what they ever hoped. So I think that we need to stop spending money studying this and do something. Either we're going to do it or we're not going to do
Well,
it.
we've bludgeoned it to death with studies.
We have beaten the dead horse.
Okay, so now it's they went to the Maryland Stadium Authority to ask Now, I think they got some money for another study.
Well, they've got-
But, here's
They're asking for
$36,000.
Here's my $100,000 question. The hotel motel tax was put in place.
We're going to bring this one up.
Yeah, well, why not? It was put in place years ago.
To do what?
Part of it was to go fund a stadium. Ron, do you remember that?
Oh, I was on the board when that happened.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I remember
so,
well.
So my question is, the money that was supposed to be allocated to fund the stadium, where has it gone into
It was
our
used for
community?
other things, and I will say used. I will not say misused, because at one point I actually saw a list of some of the projects that that funded. So, and I don't think it's been misused at all. The reality is, at that point in time, there was no stadium to build. We had other priorities. We had other priorities, and we used that money for the other priorities.
Yeah, but-
So they borrowed it from Social Security, essentially.
Okay.
Well, no, they didn't,
Wait a
because
minute,
that's
guys.
different.
Wait a minute now. You borrowed money that was raised years ago. Well, how about what you're raising now?
Well, I
How
understand
about the
that.
amount of new money?
But
Look,
there was a
look,
change in the law. There was a change in the law. It
that
doesn't-
allowed them to do it.
Right.
Right.
So now we're not raising money specifically, as I understand it, specifically for a stadium.
Do you really think $12,000, $36,000 is any skin in the game for anybody to build a stadium?
No, I don't.
Kristen Alshire has an excellent idea for an indoor
But
complex.
his indoor complex is to service the youth market and not to service the professional minor league baseball market.
Okay,
Why
that's-
can't we combine that vision?
That's my point. You kind of wouldn't let me finish, but
I'm sorry, Ron.
I'm glad you finished it for me. And the county's looking now down across from the prison on 49 acres of land that was bought to build a fire training facility for
Yeah,
the
now they wanna turn
volunteer
it into
firemen.
another sports
Now they're
thing.
looking at some kind of an event. Take and do what we did with the Ark at the college.
Well,
we
they would
built
have a
it for all
captive
people.
audience for the games.
Oh yeah, we played there when I was a young guy. We played right in the prison. But the point is, let's put all these projects together. Let's start collaborating between the city, the county, and the state. They brought things together for the downtown improvements with Barbara Ingram and stuff.
But do you agree also that this would be a big coup if we could get it somewhere downtown?
Sure.
I'm
Or
concerned
around
with
the town.
I'm concerned with the amount of real estate available in our downtown.
No, I
if
agree
you
with
would do
that.
a multi-use facility.
No, I agree with that. And frankly, I heard, and don't quote me on this, but my understanding is, I'll say it that way, that the hospital property, the former hospital property, even with the parking deck and everything, is not large enough to support
No.
a new baseball
But
stadium.
it would be a part to support something else.
No, I agree with
Bring
that.
it all together. You've got the area where it would just burned. I'm sure that can be bought. What you have there, you've
The
got
former
across
power
the street.
station?
Yeah, the
Well,
old,
yeah, the paper recycling
the
plant.
paper recy-
You
you've
have the
got-
stadium. You have
Yeah, there's a lot
the
of
spring works.
property there.
So why can't we bring that all together? Get the mayor in here
The
sometime.
electric
Let's
plant?
talk about how that can be done. Somebody needs to champion what can happen. Before I know there was a champion on making the downtown project, the Barbara Ingram School, the Hager
There was.
5, the Maryland Theater, everybody came together. They put $1 million in. The city put $500,000, the county $500,000, and did the plan. Until you put money, actual money, $36,000 is a joke. Putting the actual money in to design something, you'll get something.
But there's
and you'll
also
get people on
there's
board.
an advocate that the stadium should be private funded. My argument with the stadium should be private funded is there was a lot of tax revenue that was collected and was used for good sources. There was a lot of tax money that was collected. There's the Maryland Stadium Authority that can also assist in building a new stadium. Why don't we attempt to leverage that money and reinvest it in the
And
stadium?
here's my other point, and this is absolutely tangential to this conversation, but I'm going to say it anyway. The situation we see with these malls and the fact that they're losing stores, including our own Valley Mall, and we've got great management out there. I mean, I think it's a paradigm shift in the way we shop as citizens, and I think that is a huge opportunity for our downtowns to be revitalized. Because if you think about it, the paradigm back in the 60s, 50s, 70s, before malls came about, was to shop in the downtown areas. The paradigm shifted, then everything was out at the mall. Guess what? It's shifting back. Now we have these strip centers, and we have these specialty shops. We've had these pop-up shops in Hagerstown that have done extraordinarily well. This could be another part of that puzzle.
So why don't we do it? Is that part of the
Because
town?
we lack the will to do it.
The will or the leadership? Now, which is it?
What about
whatever.
the old CSX property that's near the mall? That was talked about in the
That
past.
was talked about, yep.
But where's the leadership? Who's going to take lead on it?
Well, I don't think anyone has at this point.
Shouldn't they?
It's the third rail run.
That's true. And
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I would argue that that stadium cost Bob Brucci the election, the last one that he lost. I would argue that.
You know, sometimes there's even in losing, there's victory in losing.
Well, but it wasn't because...
I remember the
well,
time being
okay.
voted out of office because we built a sewer plant. If you didn't have the sewer plant today, where would we be?
Yeah, exactly. Well, 2020 in hindsight,
But
right?
with the money that the hotel motel tax brings in, what its half of its original intent was, the monies can be found. And I think as new rooms come in, there can be a portion of that taken to go in towards retiring
And
the
we
debt
know
for
for a fact
stadium.
that our hotels and motels are doing pretty well.
So where's that? Why can't we use some of that money?
And building this would only make them do better and have more infrastructure needed.
I would agree.
It would increase our tax base.
Look at how many kids that go to different places, whether it's in Westminster, Winchester, or clear down the road in Montgomery County. Look at the amount of people that go and spend at least a night.
Well, you could sell out all the hotels in this community if you had a half dozen full-size fields that people could go out and play on. That means the stadium needs to be configurable, but a half dozen full-size fields, you could sell out over the winter. Because
How many
these things
games do you referee? And you got the last word.
I do somewhere around 50, 60 a year.
50 or 60 a year. That's a lot of games. Now, how, is that a day or just the amount of games?
That's the amount of games. I mean, a game is anywhere from 70 to
And where did you
90
do
minutes.
it?
All over between Washington County all the way down south to Rappahannock County in Virginia.
Wow.
See there? Henry, thank you. You've got the last word. Coming up, our Washington County Public School System is working to find an answer to a $1 million shortfall in the upcoming budget. We hope you will stay tuned for that report.